Welcome back to the report. The riots last June in Sri Lanka by a Buddhist mob resulted in thousands of Muslims and Sinhalese residents being displaced and their property looted. They left an uneasy and volatile situation in the country. Little has been done to address the situation, and with the President announcing a snap election this January, what can the nation expect? Afzal Ahmed has been taking a look at the events in the 5 months since the riots.
The scenes of the fateful few days of rioting in the southwest of Sri Lanka seem a distant memory, but 5 months on, remnants still linger in pockets across the country. Last week, a Muslim-owned shop was looted and attacked in the major city of Badulla. A Boda Balasina mob entered and, due to the shopkeeper not giving credit, shouted, "This is our country, you live as we say." This incident and others are seen as instances of a bullying attitude towards the Muslim minority population in the country, which are rarely brought to account. The marginal and hardline Buddhist BBS group, who rose in the aftermath of the military victory over the Liberation Tigers of Tamil Eelam 5 years ago, have been accused of stoking up tensions in the island nation. On the 15th of June this year, in an emotive speech, one of the leaders blamed Muslims, foreigners and the government for the humiliation of the Sinhalese majority in the country. This was after Muslims in Dargah town allegedly assaulted a Buddhist monk and his driver.
අපි කියනවා මේ රටේ තාම තියෙන්නේ සිංහල පොලිසියක් තාම තියෙන්නේ සිංහල හමුදාවක් අදින් පස්සේ එක මරක්කලයක් හරි වෙනත් මොන පරේක් හරි එක සිංහලයෙකුට අවමතරමින් සිවුරකට නෙමෙයි එක සිංහලයෙකුට අත තිබ්බොත් මේ හැම කාලෙකම අවසානයේ බව.
After the speech, Buddhist mobs drove into various towns in the Kalutara district, chanting various anti-Muslim slogans. This resulted in clashes with many Muslim homes torched, mosques stoned, shops looted and people shot over the course of 2 days. Residents fled their homes and sought shelter in mosques and community centres. In total, 8,000 Muslims and 2,000 Sinhalese residents were displaced, with 4 people shot dead. The BBS have been widely blamed for the incident, but he has denied any responsibility. Following the riots, President Mahinda Rajapaksa visited the cities to meet victims and promised a high-level inquiry. The government promised to rebuild homes and businesses destroyed by the riots. Rajapaksa's official line at the time was that this was the result of concerted efforts by international forces to destabilize the country. To this date, no official inquiry has been conducted and no justice administered. A haste reconstruction of buildings was carried out, which many say was only due to the pressure of an ongoing UN human rights investigation and a forthcoming presidential election. Speculation from many quarters in the community has risen in whether the government indirectly supports BBS, seeing them cornered between protecting relations with Muslim states and appeasing the Buddhist majority. One strong word from Rajapaksa could stop everything, they say, but the president has refused to do so, as he requires Buddhist votes to win in future elections. The president has a somewhat good standing with the Muslim community, both abroad and domestically. Many see him as handcuffed in what he can do in case he upsets the Sinhalese majority. In Palestine, a road is named after him due to his continuous support for the Palestinian cause, and domestically he has pledged to introduce a system to send every Muslim to Mecca with the help of state funds. Last week, President Rajapaksa announced he would run for an unprecedented third time in office in snap elections in January, garnering the opposition, including Muslim groups, to field an opposition candidate. It is speculated that he may lose support from Muslims due to the riots in June and the general perception that his government hasn't been strong enough to stop the rise and influence of the BBS. Most Buddhists in the country abhor the practices and rhetoric of the Boda Balasina group, positing them as a marginal group unnecessarily stoking up tensions in what is otherwise a largely peaceful country. But time will tell whether, if the BBS aren't robustly challenged, the dynamics in the country wouldn't begin to drastically change. Afzal Ahmed, The Report.
Well, with me to discuss this is Azath, Salley, who's the former Deputy Mayor of Colombo and leader of the Muslim Tamil National Alliance, and Lukman Harees, who's President of the Association of Sri Lankan Muslims. Welcome to the programme, both of you. Azath, has anything improved in the period since the riots?
No, nothing has improved. And after seeing this video clip, I'm still reminded of the President's pledge given to the people that there will be an impartial inquiry and everybody responsible will be taken to task. Up to now, this has not happened. Moreover, we have informed the government of Sri Lanka when this incident took place on Thursday. Friday morning, I was in Alutkama with the officials of the police and informing them that if you allow a meeting on Sunday, it's going to be a disaster and that they should not allow. Then they gave him an assurance that the army, STF and the police will be there and nothing will happen. I said, no, it is going to happen. And I did not stop at that. I wrote back a letter to the Inspector General of Police, handed over to him and told him that this is going to happen. If this happens, the government of Sri Lanka and you as the IGP is responsible. And it is up to that point that we came. And it happened, as we told it happened. It was a conspiracy, whatever said and done. Because that day, the president of the country is not there. As the defense minister, he had not entrusted his duty to another minister. Nobody was appointed. Then the brother, who is the defense secretary, is also not there. And this happens. So,
look, if it's as bad as this, why is it as bad as this? Why has so little been done? After all, the BBS are an extremist minority. Yeah. Why is a minority dictating government policy, or seemingly?
Yeah, John, I would like to have a much more wider approach to this problem as an outlook, in the sense that this entire problem, right, if you look at there is a political angle to all this as well. Now, BBS I see as only a cat's paw. And there are lots of people he's a puppet, right, who's being used by the government to do this. Because this has been proved time and again by the government through various statements. And recently, the BBS, in their interview, they said that, they were actually praising the style, the leadership style of President Mahinda Rajapaksa, which shows that, the cat is out of the bag, that they are being, sponsored by these groups. So as regards your question about this being a fringe group, I beg to differ on this because I had the opportunity as an author and a lot of, social activities, dealing with a lot of professionals among the Sinhalese Buddhist community as well. Well, there are two angles to this. One angle being that they are also getting into this, the thinking that Muslims as a whole has been having a bit of a, damaging influence, damaging their, singular heritage. On the other hand, that, this through this, the Facebook and the social networking sites, there have been concerted efforts to reach the next generation, right, to, bridge hatred among those groups against the Muslims.
Well, what should the government be doing?
why should the government?
What should the government be doing to stop this?
Actually speaking, we never had presidents like this before. This is the first time Sri Lanka is experiencing this. As I told earlier also, the president of the country could have put a stop to the first attack on the mosque itself. Because Dambulla, it started from Anuradhapura, then came to Dambulla. When it came to Dambulla, there also at 5:30 in the morning, I called the president and told him, tomorrow being a Friday, and that Dambulla is a transit point.
Okay.
Everybody comes for prayers. Stop this demonstration. He simply told me, what the hell is happening? You buggers are only interested in putting up mosque. That was the attitude of the president. And he was given a wrong impression that that mosque was only 1 year old. It was 67 years old. The minister in that cabinet of the Rajapaksa regime confirmed to him, sir, this is when my father was also there. This mosque is there. So I can't ask the Muslims to get out of this, or I can't throw the mosque the way you want it withdrawn. Why don't you summon the Muslims and tell them what you should, you want to clear it, give them an alternative place and do it nicely, amicably. But they were not interested. All what they want to do is to cultivate this BBS group against the minorities. Without the government getting involved, they were doing, and all the patronage was given. For right throughout, patronage was given because the police never acted. Because police, when you ask them, they say, we have got orders from the top. And they never acted. And the people, even if you go to Alutkama today, they'll tell you how the forces came in. They were just having a powder in their hand. It was a powder that they sent it out and just burnt these houses and shops. So up to today, why no inquiry? Is our question.
Lukman, what do you make of the call for presidential elections? Will the effect of that be that to kind of corral Muslims behind the president, even though he's not acting in against these extremists?
Yeah, now even the timing is very, very opportune from the point of view of the Muslims, because as a whole, the community is, scared of another type of event that's going to take place in 2015, which has been already, brought to focus by these extremist groups among the Sinhalese Buddhist community. That was the 2015 being the the century after the 1915 anti-Muslim riots in Sri Lanka. So this is being toyed as idea by these groups, and they are going to use this. Recently they used one of their role models, that is Anagarika Dharmapala, one of their the role models they follow to act against these Muslims. And they had their birth anniversary recently, and they tried their best to use that to do this against. But unfortunately, their grandson intervened and stopped that. But as regards your timing, this actually Alutgama 2014 signals a very dangerous, dangerous trend in the history of communal relations in Sri Lanka. It's not an isolated incident. It's some people, the analysts say sometimes it may be a foreplay to certain events that's going to happen. So the country is in need of a important political change, which will have to think, because the president, after going to facing 2 elections, using the war victory as a trump card, has lost his his acceptance among the Sinhalese Buddhist community. So now he has virtually given up mostly the Tamil and the Muslim votes, right? And now he is making a certain ploy to reach the average Sinhala Buddhist voter, and that
is that how you read it?
More than that, this president was elected in 2005 with a small majority of 29,000 votes. How did that happen? Is by giving 1,000 million rupees to the LTT at that time to get the Tamil people not to vote, to prevent them from voting. The first person who came to vote will be killed, was a threat given to the Tamils, and like that they killed 2-3 people. And that is how they managed to stop, and that is how Rajapaksa won the election. After that, it continues, and now the 3rd term of the president is an illegal term. He is being challenged now at this moment, but he has.
You mean there's a legal challenge?
Yeah, because the amendment to the constitution was brought in.
You can't run for a 3rd term.
Yeah, for the president to run the 3rd term. Then the president who approved it, the Chief Justice of this country, is challenging the president, saying, no, I did not approve this. This is not for you, for the next president who is coming, not for you. So there is an issue there, and they are going before court. And now what the president did is to summon the 10 people who are in the Supreme Court and ask him for their opinion. Now, opinion has been taken as a verdict. So people have the right to protest, and that is happening. But nevertheless, the people in the own government has today come out. The General Secretary of the Sri Lanka Freedom Party has come out as a common candidate to fight the Rajapaksas, because 62% of the budgetary that is for the country is being taken over by the Rajapaksa family. So no minister can bring a cabinet paper. When a minister brings a cabinet paper, it is being told, why don't you come through the Minister of Economic Affairs or BOI? So that has to go to his brother Basil Rajapaksa. Or why don't you come through the UDA? That goes through the Defence Minister, Defence Secretary, Gotabaya Rajapaksa. Like that, the whole thing is divided, and some minister comes and says, this is another nice project I have got for the country. No, I saw a similar project my son is having. Why don't you talk to him and try to do something? Okay. This is how the entire country has been robbed by the Rajapaksas.
Okay, we're going to have to leave it there. But after the break, we'll be taking a look at the fate of Iraqi antiquities. Join us after this break.